was my personal opinion that it would be unwise to just come right down and move here because the culture is extremely different here. It's not like other parts of Latin America. I've been.
Okay, everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Miss Georgie from Pennsylvania. And she was on one of our first group tours way back in June. And she went and we did the tour and we took her everywhere. Oh my goodness, everywhere. And now she has come back this second time around, and I'm gonna let you hear a little bit about her story and her experience and how it is the second time after you've already been exposed to El Salvador and you're digging a little bit deep.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your services, if you don't mind.
Okay, go for it.
This is something that I think is really important because when you come here, you're going to need some guidance. And the Livin Like a Local took me to all of the different areas of El Salvador. Mm. They also spent time introducing me to a builder. They spent time, Jenn spent a whole day with me. I'm importing a tortoise. And so she spent the whole day with me going around the Minister of Agriculture and finding out what I would have to do to get my pet into the country.
That was an adventure. That was a first for me. That was a first for me.
But I think it was a first for them too.
Yeah. They're like, you want to bring a what?
Tortuga.
We're like, no, Tortuga.
But they were he's 75 pounds. So it was a little bit of an adjustment. But so there were many, many services I got here that I would have never been able to do myself. So I would suggest that Livin Like a Local is one of the best little organizations that will give you personalized, service, as well as giving you little hints about what's going on with the culture that you would not be able to expect or understand coming from another culture into this one.
Gee, thanks. Okay, cut. No, just kidding. But okay, thank you very much. But now let's talk a little bit more about your journey, though. So you came in June, and what did you think after the June kind of immersive tour we did in June, where it was like,
I thought it was a beautiful country. I didn't think as much as you showed me. I knew that I didn't see everything there was to see, and that no people or guides could show you all that in one trip. And I personally thought it was wise to come back and to procure a place to live, which Livin Like a Local is helping me do, or has helped me do, as well as got me a really nice place, little apartment here to stay in that was not very expensive, and provided me for days when they might not be able to make it or not be able to accommodate me in terms of where I needed to go. They also provided a driver that they work hand in hand with. So it was my personal opinion that it would be unwise to just come right down and move here. Although I did start my residency application
application,
which of course Livin Like a Local helped me with, even though I was living in the States at the time. We had a few phone calls back and forth, and
we got it done. So she had everything lined up and ready to go.
So I am presently on my second trip here. And they helped me find a place to live just temporarily so that I could spend 6 months looking for the areas I might want to live in and getting more accustomed to the culture, because the culture is extremely different here. It's not like other parts of Latin America. I've been to, Ecuador, and I've been to some of the islands, and it's a different culture because of all the different historical revolutions they've gone through in terms of their history. And so this is like a new beginning for them. And for some of us who have traveled here, it is also a new beginning for us. So the basic thing that I think is really important is that you understand that there is a cultural difference, that it would be unwise to think that you should move here without figuring out what's really going on. And that might take 1 or 2 tours, but for now, what I have seen is much more in depth because Cesar took me to the various places. He showed me the different shopping areas, what it's like to shop here for all sorts of things. They're little, they're kind of equivalents to the big box stores and the local stores and the beautiful mercados. I'm sorry, and as well as the capital city, which is going through its own renaissance. So. I think it's important to know that when you come here, you can expect things to change as you live here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you guys look back to some of my first videos of San Salvador, I think it's called the Mercado of San Salvador is one of my first videos that I did on the channel. You look at that to what it is now, it is night and day difference. It does not look like the same country at all. And that's just in 2 years. And it's expanding because now it's not just the centro, it's like moving out and out and out from the centro, and it's beautiful. I mean, we went I went last night to the ballet, and I was surprised to see even more blocks that have been cleaned up and fixed up, and lots of real estate. I think it's a little bit because of the law that they passed that new businesses in the centro get like 10 years without taxes. And so that's helped a lot of investment come in. But it is just, it's completely in transformation. So if you haven't been to El Salvador in the past, I'd say even like year and a half, come back down again because it might, and get a fresh perspective. Because like Georgie said, I mean, she came in June and now she's back and now she's digging deeper. So she did the group tour in June and now she's come back and she's been doing private hosting where we go and we really dig into, okay, what do we need? What's your next step? What do we need to get? And it was like, for her, it's like, okay, I need an apartment for 6 months. And boom, we went and got our apartment. And it was like, okay, what's this next step? What's this next step? And as she's going to be here. She's going to go out. We're going to help her go out and find her place to buy because she wants to buy a nice place for her turtles or her tortoise.
Oh, he'd be so upset if he heard you say that.
I know. Sorry. I didn't mean to offend you, Harvey. But that gives her a little bit of time to really get down and find out where she's going to mesh the best in the country, because even the different sectors are very different culturally. So,
and the biospheres are very different as well.
Oh, yes.
The climates in the different cultures, and even in this little country, which is only the size of Delaware, has such versatility in the topography and also the climate and what the climate is actually like. And it's an evolving place. So I think my biggest barrier has been I don't speak Spanish well. I can understand it, and I can but it would be a lot better if I could speak Spanish fluently. So I would say try to bone up on that before.
And don't worry, we're getting her some classes, but and hopefully a little device that will help her speak and then automatically translate. That's in the work too. But yeah, Spanish is definitely a must.
Yeah.
But also, I guess you could say, like, what has been your biggest surprise of this country versus, say, other Latin American countries that have, little expat bubbles and things like that?
I think the biggest surprise, I mean, I wouldn't really call it a surprise, but I would say it was something that stood out to me a little bit, is that because it's in constant change, some things you think you can count on, you can't count on. It's not like you're into a well-developed country. There's an evolution going on here that's going to be lasting for some time. So one must come knowing very well that you don't expect the same things all the time. Everything, depending on who you're interacting with.
Yeah.
And how your interaction is in terms of what are you interacting about. I have found everybody more than willing to help. They'll walk out in the street. Jenny, I have a son who's on dialysis, and yesterday Jenny had bent over backwards to help me find a dialysis center for when he comes to visit. And her phone was out. So she had my phone. I couldn't find her. And so I asked one of the local, I think she might have been a part of the police or security.
Or she was a security for that building.
Yeah. And I asked her, I was trying to ask her, my best phrase has been, I don't speak Spanish very well.
Yeah, she can say that really well.
That's right. Mi español es muy mal. But there was a lady, the security guard didn't understand English, and I didn't understand Spanish. We were kind of fumbling through it. But a lady just appeared, a young woman out of nowhere. I speak a little English. Can I help? Yeah. And it was just mind boggling. It's like, what are you kidding? This is something you're not really used to in at least the I'm not used to it in the United States or Canada or that any of the Western cultures. I think, having been established for such a long time, we expect so much from other, cultures, which is not only not fair, but it's unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you look through, everyone sees the world through their own rose-colored glasses, and those rose-colored glasses come from your own personal experience. And so if you've only visited Europe and the US, then you kind of assume and think, well, Europe's a little different from the US, but not as drastically different as, say, El Salvador from the US. And so it's different when, you come to a new country and you have your rose-colored glasses on, and you've got to take those off and get the best blue-colored glasses you can to see that country through their lens. Like you said before about even El Salvador, that, oh, wow, the really rough history that El Salvador has gone through explains why it's so different here than, say, Costa Rica. Costa Rica is very different from El Salvador, because you have to be able to really take those lenses on, because if you keep your rose-colored lenses on, it's not going to work. You're going to be really frustrated and be really just upset and not see all the beautiful blue that there is in El Salvador, because with your pink glasses on, it's just going to turn out all like purple or putridy.
And also, as you mentioned, the foliage around here is incredibly beautiful. I mean, everywhere you go, there's like ferns or orchids or something growing out of this concrete. It's just crazy.
Yeah, you get like orchids, like orchids back in the States that you have to have a special pot. And soil. Here, they're just growing out of the wall.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. But I think that it's a very interesting country, and the culture is evolving itself. It's going through its changes. I mean, even the natives, because of the occupation and the brutality that has gone on since, I think, the 1300s, right? And the occupations, the colonization, blah, blah, that begins to be generational. Yeah. And so, it's kind of a waking call for them as well.
Yeah, it's a massive mind shift and a massive even habit shift to go from always being aware, always kind of being on the in defense mode of making sure people aren't taking advantage of you, to where you can get to that point that it's getting to now, like you said, to actually, going out and like helping others and not being worried that they might, it might come back to bite you in the butt if you help somebody out. Whereas before it was very much survivalist of, I got to take care of me. I don't know you. I don't trust you.
Yeah. I have found everyone here very, very helpful and happy to help, which is part of the human spirit, really.
Yeah. And that's the greatest thing to see that's happening in El Salvador. That's why if you're thinking about coming down, you need to, first of all, understand that this is a pioneering phase in the country. And it's not like Mexico. It's not like Costa, not like Panama. It's a very different type of transition. It's more of a transformation. And they're still creating what their Salvadoran American dream looks like. So you've got to be open to making that happen, to empowering and lifting the country. It can't just be like a lot of other expat bubbles that are in other countries where it's all about, sometimes they say, well, I'm going to go where I'm treated the best and it's all about me and what's in it for me. If that's kind of your line of thinking,
wrong mentality.
Yeah, El Salvador is not for you. I'm going to keep it real here. El Salvador is not for you if it's all about me. But if you love hope and empowerment and actually lifting others like with you, then El Salvador is perfect for you. Any other last minute tips you
No,
say
I would
to
just
somebody?
say if you are looking to try, the thing about El Salvador is because of what they've gone through and because of Bukele, who seems to be on the right track and seems to be sincere. The bottom line is, if you're looking for that type of feeling of being able to expand and not look around your shoulder all the time and see who's trying to get your money, and I got to take my taxes and hide what I do, and I think that it's a great country to explore at least the options, because it seems to jive with the fact that the human spirit wants to expand. Whether
And
it's
create.
artistic, yes, and that seems to be the biggest attractor for me. And I've noticed it in other people as well, because you're coming from a culture where you've got a government that's extremely oppressive. I haven't seen one that isn't. This is the only one I've seen that is. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of other governments now in the Latin American corridor are following Bukele's, some of his examples. And you can see how long these different cultures have wanted to come out and be more independent.
Yeah, freedom is a good sell. Yeah. Okay, and what about the age factor? Because some people think, oh no, I'm too old to move abroad, and I can't learn Spanish, and I'm just no, I'm just gonna kind of sit here in my pension.
Individual mindset. I know lots of people that feel like that, and but there are people that are my age or close to it. I'm 75.
75.
And I've had, I don't see any stops at all. I do see that people help me because I got white hair, which I really like. If I'm in the airport, it's like, are you 75? Come this way. We have special places in the airport. They'll just, they saw my hair and they're going like, oh yeah, okay.
There's a lot of respect for elders down here. So yeah, if you go white early, that's a good thing. Like my mom always said, my mom went white at like 40, and she's always like, well, if they offer me the senior citizen discount, I'm not going to say no.
Right.
And I'm like, Mom, you're like so young compared to a 65-year-old. But
I say, take a chance.
Thank you so much, honey.
Thank you.
Okay. And that's it for Living Like Local. I am Jenny Adi, shining my light so you can shine yours. If you're interested or thinking maybe that El Salvador might be a good place for you, go to Living Like a Local, and you can either schedule a call or fill out an information survey, and we will get you the info that you need so you can move forward. That's it. Bye-bye.
Bye.